Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Guadalupe Media. I'm your host, Tessa Habet, and I'm here with our wonderful guest that is an honor and privilege to be interviewing today, Miss Isabella Zabaneh.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming.
Of course, my pleasure.
This is really an honor for us. And I mean, for those who don't know, she just got crowned Miss Universe Belize 2025. I will be representing us on the stage in Thailand in November.
Yeah. Yes. November 21st.
21st. Yes.
Look at you go, knowing the dates.
Yes, I'm trying. It's like I need to do my research. But yeah, so we're going to be talking to her today. And I mean, honestly, the main thing was I love Miss Universe. I love pageants. I love pageantry. Every time it's pageant season, I'm always invested and I know all the things. And so I was watching the pageant just because I was like, wanted to watch it for entertainment purposes. But when I saw you on the stage, I was like, if she wins, I'm gonna interview her.
Oh,
I was like, if she wins, I'm gonna have her on Guadalupe Media, because mostly just your advocacy. I mean, it's something that really spoke to me, and I think that as at Guadalupe Media, our organization and everything, we definitely were like, that's a really, we really...
It's different.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's very courageous for you to do something that very, obviously speaks to you, but also that is different and maybe, not the typical thing that people would do. And so for those who don't know the advocacy, I'm going to read it. It is empowering young women by instilling an unshakable confidence and Christ-centered identity. And I love that. I think it's really good.
Thank you.
But I mean, the first thing I want to open with is just asking about your faith journey and maybe like how you came to have a relationship with Christ and the role that your faith plays in your life right now.
So I think I'm blessed in the fact that I've never not had a walk with Christ. So I was born into a Christian family, and growing up we had what we called the worship center, and every Saturday night was worship night, and it was basically our version of church. And then Sundays were family days. But that being raised in that was really wonderful. And then it turned into having the Awaken Belize conference every summer. So we had that for about 8 or 9 years before it just became too much and leadership stepped back. But that was my life growing up. And I was baptized at 7 or 8 years old, water baptized. And then my life has just always been revolved around Christian life, Christian family, which has been wonderful. I mean, even before going on stage, I was playing worship music, praying. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
I know that I saw this interview that you did, or yes, I think it was an interview, where you mentioned that growing up, that you had a hard time with confidence, which I think for people now who watch you are like, what? Like that doesn't make sense. No. Yeah, and I mean, tell us about that. Like, tell us about your, like, why did you struggle with that and what made it unshakable, like your advocacy says? So
growing up, I was raised in a family that always had me feeling seen and celebrated. Like I was valued, and the person I was celebrated, and that was wonderful for me and boosted my confidence as a little girl. I've done research on this, and studies say that as creativity levels drop, confidence also drops.
Wow.
And I mean, you see it right around that like 7, 8, 9-year-old like children age, where their confidence starts to they start questioning things more. And then when you hit like 12, 13, 14, it plummets because creativity levels drop so significantly. But around 13, 14, I had found that my creativity outlet, which was school, and we would always do projects, it was removed. So when I graduated from Standard 6, I went into homeschool. So I did my first year of high school homeschool, and everything was a test or an essay, and I would just get bored, and I fell out of love with life and like my creative outlets. I couldn't make any projects. I wasn't doing presentations, which I enjoyed doing a lot in school, and so my confidence plummeted really bad. And then I got an eating disorder and really struggled after that with identity and who I was and what I was meant to do and who I was meant to be. And life felt really lost during my time in homeschool. People who can champion homeschool, they're incredible. Kudos to them. But that's just not the person I was. And so for second form, I begged my parents, please let me go to high school, please let me go to high school. And so I did. And being in high school, I was still struggling with that eating disorder. And I decided I was going to compete for Miss Independence, which is a local pageant back in Mango Creek. And it was in that journey, I won Miss Independence and then came out of that and started my nonprofit. And confidence, being an advocate for confidence, excuse me, is something that was developed more recently. Project Royalty started just meeting the needs of families and providing prom gowns to girls in need, which was a dream of mine that got taken away from me because I graduated high school in 2020. But being able to make girls' prom dreams come true, that's what Project Royalty really started as. And we say Project Royalty because being a Christian nonprofit, a Christ-centered identity and being a daughter of the King is really what our focus was. And since then, it's taken on a role in advocating for confidence, because we see the girls who try on these dresses and hang their heads and don't even want to look at themselves in the mirror. And so the whole Christ-centered identity and confidence and inner beauty, that's been attached to it as time has gone on, which has been really wonderful.
Yeah. What do you think it means or looks like to have a Christ-centered identity?
That's a good question. For me, a Christ-centered identity is being absolutely confident in knowing that He created you for a reason, which is something that I struggled with for a very long time. What is my purpose? What am I meant to do? Why am I walking on this earth? And I think a lot of people have those questions, whether faith-based or not. A lot of people struggle with shame and identity and, excuse me, just what am I meant to be doing? A lot of people struggle with that. And so in this process, I've kind of taken on the whole, studies have been done on this too, a lack of identity is the root cause of dozens and dozens of social crises. And so if people could be confident in who they were, then a lot of different social crises could be positively turned around. And so that's really where a Christ-centered identity, excuse me, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's
You've
really
had a long
where,
week.
yeah, recovering. Having a Christ-centered identity really is about just walking boldly, even if you don't know. I don't like to say this sometimes, but fake it till you make it. I know that I have always loved Belize. I've always loved being an ambassador. I love lifting young women up. And if those are the things I love doing, then that's something that God placed on my heart for a reason. And so at first it might have seemed a little confusing. Well, what am I meant to be doing with this? And why do I love those things? And once you start asking yourself those questions, even if it's still not completely clear, once you're walking in those things and making impact in those ways, it all kind of becomes clear. And so just ask yourself those questions, really, and just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Something that one of my good friends, she's a religious sister, she told me when I was asking her for advice on something about, like, what am I supposed to do with my life? And like, I don't know. And she said, pay attention to the movements of your heart. Mm-hmm. And she was like, when you, like, what makes you happy? What makes you sad? She's like, if you're crying at Pride and Prejudice, like at the end scene, like, what does that tell you? Like, it means that you are desiring something that is greater than yourself, something that is self-giving. Right. She's like, if you're something that your friend says to you really strikes a chord, it's like, why does that affect you? Why does that, if you see someone in a certain situation and that pulls you in a way that maybe seeing another kind of suffering doesn't, like, it doesn't mean that you lack compassion. It means that you have a compassion for a certain sector of the world. And so I think that's like, yeah, exactly what you were talking about, and I completely agree. That's beautiful. Yeah, I know that you had mentioned that you have written or are writing a devotional or something?
Yes, I have. I wrote during Advocacy Month. It was always something I had thought about doing, and I decided I would just release the little thing I had during Advocacy Month. But I wrote a little 7-day devotional with a bonus day, so 8 days of devotion. And it's not something that's been printed yet. I would love to expand on it and have it maybe be like a 30-day devotional, since it's just a week. But every day was just highlighting a different aspect of the important areas of Project Royalty. So inner beauty, purpose, confidence, being a daughter of the King, things like that. And every day was just a little different highlight. But we had some questions that you could reflect on for each day and each verse. And it was super special. It was really sweet. Every now and then I'll keep going back and looking at some of those verses just to remind myself of why I'm doing this and why I love doing what I do.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good way to, you know, really push that advocacy and kind of, I don't know, promote it in Belize. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that. I hope that gets published one day.
Hopefully.
I would totally buy it. I would totally do that.
This Universe Belize 2025 published author.
That would be amazing, actually. Something else that I wanted to talk to you about is, I mentioned earlier that I also love the Miss Universe pageants and just keeping up with it. But I think that something that personally really stands out to me about the Miss Universe pageant and just pageantry in general is that you see these women who are walking across the stage and you hear that they are pursuing doctorate degrees, they're working in corporate, they are CEOs of companies, like they're doing all of these great things, they're wanting to be involved in policy making and all this, and then they're doing it not in spite of their femininity but with it.
Right.
And I think that is the thing about it, is that it is these women that are very successful, that are very intelligent, that do it with the 6-inch heels and the dresses.
Powerhouse women.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, I just want you to speak to that, like the importance of using your femininity as a tool and not seeing it as a hindrance and not trying to mute it or thinking that if I'm going to be successful or a published author, whatever it is, that I need to somehow dial back on the femininity and wear two hats, when it's like you can wear them both, you know, and they enhance each other. And yeah, what do you think that the femininity brings to the table in terms of being successful and being in the world?
Of course. I think living in a very male-dominated world has scared a lot of women to shy away from spaces of leadership.
Or blend in.
Right, exactly, blend in. I think I often have felt that way, but I think what a lot of people need to realize is women were created by God too. And while there are some things men can do that women can't and some things women can do that men can't, there's a unique equality between us because God created us both. And I think that when we realize that and start to dig deep and find what our purpose is, it becomes hard to not walk in that. And so not all women are created for leadership, and that's okay. And not all men are created for leadership either, and that's okay. One thing that many people might not know about me, but is definitely one of the desires of my heart, is to be a leader in this nation. Prime Minister, maybe. But many people have said, but Belize has never had a female prime minister. Well, yeah, but there's a first for everything. And then there's often women are too emotional. And women can't do this and they can't do that because of this and because of that. Well, what about they could, they just haven't yet, because the opportunity hasn't presented itself yet. And times are changing, society norms and all of that, they're shifting. And actually, when I was Miss Independence, my winning question was, why do you think Belize needs its first female prime minister? And that was the perfect question for me as somebody who's aspiring to be that.
Yeah.
But my answer, if I remember it correctly, revolved around women are caring, nurturing, and mothers. And to be able to care and nurture for a nation is something that's really important. And no matter the realm that you're working in, women have a really unique ability to calm, strengthen, and push forward and encourage. And those are qualities that I think every woman possesses. Whether it's your strength or not is one thing, but those are qualities that every woman is capable of presenting. And if I was to become the first female prime minister, then my job would be to care for the people of this nation, because that's what I'm good at doing. I'm not very great at economics, so I would probably need somebody to help me with that. I'm not very good at other things, but one thing I know I'd be great at is being a voice and being representation, because of how passionate I am. I am no more or less passionate than any current male figure in leadership. And once women start to realize that they are no better or worse off, it's just a matter of stepping into it and facing it head on instead of shying away. I think that's when the game changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that something that I read recently was that women, because when we, in analogy to giving birth, like when you become a mother, that you have the task of showing and helping that child to know their father, because you, like, in the first couple months, they know you and they're dependent on you and your body. And so because the father doesn't really have a role in those first couple months, and so it's your job to help them know their father. And in the same way, women have the task of helping people know God the Father, and that we have that unique ability, because we lead to that. And so, yeah, and just that way of the unique role that we have, and the ability that we have to be the heart and the compassion, and that, yeah, like, maybe we might be more emotional, or
but that's whatever. Okay, we were designed that way.
Exactly. And you can even see it, like, in scenarios where there's, like, mostly men, and it's like you see the way that men interact with each other and the way they interact with a woman. It's like it's just a softening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like the minute a woman enters the equation, there's this softening, and there's this, like, complete 360, and it's just really beautiful, the fact that there are two of us, it's like that we have men, that we have women, and the way that we complement each other, and all the goodness that is in that.
All while doing it in 6-inch heels.
All while doing it in 6-inch heels. Yeah, for some of us, because I definitely am not out here in 6-inch heels.
It took me a while to get here. I promise.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever aspire to the 6 inches. Maybe like 3. But
I believe in you.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah. Yeah, it was so funny when you walked in. You were so tall, and I was like, wow.
And these are my short heels.
Oh my gosh.
You didn't even see me in my stilettos this morning.
Oh my gosh.
That's tall. That's really tall.
That's perfect for Miss Universe.
Oh yeah.
This is awesome. Yeah, well, I don't have any more questions for you. But if you would like to tell our audience the ways that we can support you as you go on in your journey towards Miss Universe stage.
Yeah, of course. So definitely following me on my social media is one big one. I'm always posting there. So on Instagram, it's _Bella, Bella, the letter E and the letter Z. That's my Instagram handle. If you just look up Miss Universe Belize 2025, I might pop up, which is crazy to say. Like, it still hasn't hit me. Yeah. The Miss Universe Belize page on Instagram and on Facebook. On Facebook, it's just Isabella Zabaneh. Right now, that's it for my social media. If you want to follow my nonprofit, that's just projectroyalty.bz on Instagram and Project Royalty on Instagram. Or, what did I say? Projectroyalty.bz on Instagram and Project Royalty on Facebook.
Perfect.
There we go. Yeah, got it. It clicked.
There we go.
But as far as supporting me on my journey, I mean, Miss Universe is coming up in November, which is crazy. It's only 5 months away, hardly. And so a lot of time and preparation is going to be dedicated to making sure I'm ready for that stage and ready to leave an impact. I plan on making history, so we'll see how that works out for me.
I think we're all expecting you to. We're all expecting you to.
I'm going in with the grace of God, hoping that we walk out with a placement, if not the crown.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
We'll definitely be watching you. We're definitely going to support you in whatever way we can.
Thank you so much.
We're very glad that we got to talk to you today and that you came on and that this worked out.
Of course.
We know you're busy. And
anytime you need me back, I'm here.
Many things. I might take you up on that.
Perfect.
We have a lot of things. We do a lot here at Guadalupe Media. So, and I would love to. I mean, you're like 21 and I'm like 22. It's like we're like the same age.
Ooh, besties.
So, yeah, so we can. I mean, I think there's a special dynamic here.
There is. We can play into it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Bella, so much for coming
Thank you for
on.
having me. It was a
Yes.
pleasure.
It was a pleasure for me, a pleasure for, I think, all of our viewers, and this is very exciting. So thank you so much for watching. Tune in to Guadalupe Media all the time, and share this interview with your friends, please, because we want to, support Bella and also spread what she's representing and her advocacy and everything that she is trying to do. So yeah, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day, and God bless.